At the age of 75, Suzi Quatro has finally opened up about her connection with Chris Norman. Born Susan K. Quatro on June 3, 1950, in Detroit, Michigan, Suzi displayed an extraordinary musical instinct from a very young age. What began as raw talent in childhood would later evolve into a career that made her a globally recognized name. At a time when female artists were often limited to the role of lead singer, Suzi chose a different path. She shattered expectations by stepping forward as a bass guitarist and frontwoman, dressed in leather and commanding the stage in a male-dominated rock world. Her influence extended beyond music, positioning her as a cultural trailblazer whose impact still resonates with artists today. Growing up in a family deeply connected to music, Suzi was immersed in sound and creativity from the start. Her father, Art Quatro, was a musician, and their home was filled with melodies and rehearsals. This supportive and artistic environment nurtured her confidence and encouraged her to find her own musical identity. By her teenage years, Suzi was already performing publicly. Alongside her sisters, she formed an all-female garage rock band called the Pleasure Seekers. At a time when women were rarely accepted as instrumentalists, the group stood out as one of the earliest all-girl rock bands to gain real attention. Suzi handled bass duties, shared vocal responsibilities, and radiated natural stage presence, even in her early years. These performances laid the foundation for the powerful image and sound that would later define her career. A major turning point came in the early 1970s when she caught the attention of renowned British producer Mickie Most, who immediately recognized her unique potential. Her decision to move to the United Kingdom proved to be life-changing. While the American market remained cautious about women in hard rock, British audiences embraced her authenticity and strength. In 1973, Suzi exploded onto the music scene with her breakout hit, Can the Can, a high-energy rock track that topped the UK charts and sold more than 2 million copies worldwide. The song marked a clear statement of intent. Suzi Quatro had arrived, and she was not backing down. Throughout the 1970s, she solidified her status as one of rock music's most powerful female figures. Hits like 48 Crash, Devil Gate Drive, and The Wild One dominated international charts, showcasing her fierce vocals, driving bass lines, and unapologetically rebellious spirit. On stage, wearing her iconic leather jumpsuit, Suzi Quatro embodied power, self-assurance, and independence. Her image directly confronted long-standing stereotypes about women in rock music. She refused to fade into the background or be treated as a gimmick. Suzi insisted on being recognized as a legitimate musician, and she proved she deserved that respect. Through her visibility and determination, she helped clear a path for future generations of women in rock and punk, securing her place as a true trailblazer. Beyond her achievements in music, Suzi expanded her creative reach by stepping into acting. In the mid-1970s, she became a familiar face to American television viewers through her role as Leather Tuscadero on the popular sitcom Happy Days. The character introduced her to a wider U.S. audience and allowed her to showcase her personality and stage presence in a new format, all while maintaining her authentic rock and roll identity. Her success across different mediums confirmed that she was far more than a recording artist. Suzi Quatro emerged as a multi-talented entertainer whose influence extended well beyond chart rankings. Over the years, she has been widely acknowledged as a key inspiration for later female rock icons, including Joan Jett, Chrissie Hynde, Debbie Harry, and members of the Runaways. These musicians have openly spoken about how Suzi's fearless attitude and unmistakable style gave them the confidence to pursue careers in genres traditionally dominated by men. As a result, her legacy is defined not only by album sales or hit singles, but by the cultural boundaries she helped dismantle. Without deliberately seeking the role, Suzi became a powerful example for others. In doing so, she helped reshape both the sound and the visual identity of rock music for decades to come. Even as time passed, her momentum never faded. She continued touring, recording, and performing well into the 21st century, demonstrating an unwavering dedication to her craft. Albums such as Back to the Drive, 2006, and No Control, 2019, proved that her creative energy remained intact. The music retained its drive and intensity, connecting strongly with longtime fans. On stage, her presence stayed magnetic, and her voice continued to deliver the same edge and authority that first captured audiences in the 1970s. In the later stages of her career, Suzi once again confirmed her enduring ability to connect with listeners. Rather than slowing down, she embraced a new way to share her passion for rock music. Through BBC Radio 2, Suzi reached listeners across the UK and beyond, bringing her unmistakable personality, deep knowledge of rock history, and first-hand stories from decades in the industry to the airwaves. Her first radio show, Rocking with Suzi Q, became more than a broadcast. It was a tribute to the music that shaped multiple generations. Audiences tuned in not only for the classic songs she selected, but also for her personal insights, behind-the-scenes memories, and genuine love for the genre. Following its success, she launched a second program, Wake Up Little Suzi, which carried the same vibrant spirit while offering a fresh perspective. Both shows quickly earned devoted listeners who appreciated hearing Suzi not only as a performer, but as a storyteller, curator, and passionate advocate for the music that continues to define her life. By moving into radio broadcasting, Suzi Quatro once again demonstrated that her abilities extended far beyond live performance. This transition confirmed that she was not only a rock musician, but a lasting cultural figure, someone with a rare capacity to entertain, inform, and inspire across generations. Back in 1976, at the peak of her groundbreaking career, Quatro also made a major personal decision when she married her longtime guitarist and musical partner, Len Tuckey. Their marriage represented more than a romantic bond. It was a continuation of the creative partnership they had already built through years of working together. As a skilled guitarist in Quatro's touring band, Tuckey shared her deep commitment to music as well as a first-hand understanding of the intense demands that came with life in the rock world. During their time together, the couple started a family and welcomed 2 children. Juggling the responsibilities of motherhood with an international music career was a constant challenge. Yet Quatro, known for her resilience and discipline, managed to sustain both her family life and her professional momentum. Over time, however, the pressures took their toll on the marriage. In 1992, after 16 years together, Quatro and Tuckey divorced, bringing an important chapter of her personal life to a close. Years earlier, in 1980, the couple had made a significant long-term investment by purchasing an impressive manor house near Chelmsford in Essex, England. The property symbolized achievement, security, and a shared future. It was there that they raised their children, creating a stable home away from the constant touring and public exposure tied to Quatro's career. Following the divorce, she remained in the manor with her children, choosing to preserve that environment as a source of continuity and comfort. The house became a private refuge where she could balance the demands of motherhood with her global presence as a performer. In 1993, not long after the end of her first marriage, Suzi Quatro married again, this time to German concert promoter Rainer Haas. His background in the music business meant he understood the realities of her career, and their relationship provided both emotional companionship and professional understanding. By this stage, Quatro was firmly established as an international rock icon. Celebrated worldwide for challenging gender barriers in rock music, having a partner deeply connected to the industry likely offered her a sense of stability. Family remained central to her life. In 2006, her daughter and grandchild moved back into the Essex manor, reviving the close-knit family environment that Suzi Quatro valued so deeply. Once again, the manor was filled with the familiar sounds of children, shared laughter, and everyday family routines, easing the quiet that often settles in when children grow older and begin lives of their own. In time, however, her children eventually moved out once more. By the end of 2008, Suzi Quatro openly acknowledged that she was experiencing empty nest syndrome, a feeling many parents face when their homes fall silent again. In response to that emotional shift, she briefly placed the Essex Manor on the market. The decision reflected both a desire for change and the challenge of maintaining such a large home when it no longer served its original family purpose. Even so, Quatro has always remained closely tied to the places that played a central role in shaping her life. She continues to split her time between Essex and Hamburg, maintaining strong connections to her life in England as well as to her husband's homeland in Germany. Hamburg, a city with a rich musical legacy, offers her a lively cultural environment. At the same time, she has never severed her emotional ties to the United States, particularly Detroit, Michigan, where her musical story first began. By keeping homes in Essex, Hamburg, and occasionally returning to Detroit, Quatro reflects the truly global nature of her personal life and career. Now at 75, she has spent more than 5 decades in the public eye, securing her place in music history as one of the earliest women to successfully break through the male-dominated world of rock and roll. She is widely recognized for her leather outfits, powerful bass lines, and relentless stage presence. Yet one collaboration in her career has always held a special place in the hearts of fans: her partnership with Chris Norman of the band Smokey. For decades, listeners have speculated about the connection the two shared during and after the release of their 1978 worldwide hit duet, Stumblin' In. With the clarity that comes from age and long experience, Quatro has now spoken more openly about what Chris Norman truly represented to her, both as a colleague and as a person. "He was without a doubt one of the easiest people I ever worked with," she recalled, noting that he had no ego in an industry where that quality is often rare. Such ease was especially unusual given that neither of them expected the duet to become such a massive success. From the moment they began singing together, there was an immediate and natural chemistry. Everything felt effortless. At the time, Quatro was already firmly established as a solo artist, while Norman was enjoying major success with Smokey, known for their blend of soft rock and folk-influenced pop. When producer Mike Chapman brought the two together for Stumblin' In, the outcome surprised even Quatro herself. "We honestly thought it would just be another song," she admitted, "maybe a small hit if we were lucky." Neither of them imagined that the song would climb to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States or evolve into a classic still sung more than 45 years later. That, Quatro believes, is the true mystery of music. You never really know which song will resonate with people. For her, the experience went far beyond commercial achievement. It was equally about the creative bond she shared with Chris Norman. She remembers their studio sessions as light-hearted, respectful, and full of excitement. There was a sense of adventure in working together. Chris had a natural warmth, she recalled. He wasn't just an exceptional vocalist, he was a true gentleman. He immediately made me feel comfortable. I was used to leading my own projects, but with him, sharing the moment felt completely natural. There was no rivalry between them. Instead, they were focused on building something together, and that mutual approach is what made the song work. Over the years, fans have often wondered whether their connection went beyond music. Suzi has never denied the closeness they shared, but she has always emphasized that it remained a professional and platonic relationship rooted in deep respect. "People love to imagine romantic stories behind the scenes," she said with a laugh. "The truth is, we cared deeply about each other, but it was always about the music. We were both married, and we honored that. What we had was a friendship and a creative partnership that produced something lasting. In many ways, that makes it even more meaningful." Looking back, Suzi now sees Stumblin' In not just as a successful record, but as a defining moment that shaped how audiences remember her. "I'll always be known as the leather-clad rocker with a bass guitar," she reflected. "But for millions of people, I'll also forever be the voice in that duet with Chris, and I'm proud of that. It revealed another side of me. That side was gentler and more emotionally open, yet still carried strength." Even decades later, Quatro and Norman remain friends, occasionally reuniting for interviews or anniversary events celebrating their hit. "Chris is one of those people you never forget," she said warmly. "When we meet now, it feels like no time has passed at all." They quickly fall back into the same easy connection they shared in the studio all those years ago, a rare bond she deeply values. Reflecting on the song today, Quatro believes its message may resonate even more strongly now than it did in 1978. "It's about uncertain love," she explained. "About stepping into something new and unfamiliar. No matter their age, people can relate to stumbling into love, or stumbling into a moment that unexpectedly changes their lives. That universal feeling, she believes, is why the song has endured." At 75, Suzi Quatro continues to tour, record, and inspire younger generations of musicians. When asked to name one of the most meaningful moments of her career, she places her collaboration with Chris Norman near the very top. "That song was a gift," she said. "And Chris was part of that gift. I'll always be thankful to him, for the music we created together and for memories that have lasted a lifetime. At 75, Suzi Quatro has finally spoken openly about Chris Norman. Born Susan K. Quatro on June 3, 1950, in Detroit, Michigan, she displayed exceptional musical ability from an early age. That natural talent would eventually elevate her to international fame. Unlike many women in her era, Suzi did not limit herself to being a vocalist at the front of a band. She challenged conventions by establishing herself as a bass-playing, leather-clad rock performer in a male-dominated industry. In doing so, she became both a musical and cultural pioneer, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire new generations. Raised in a family with a strong musical background, Suzi was immersed in sound and creativity from childhood. Her father, Art Quatro, was a musician, and music filled their home. That environment of encouragement and artistic freedom gave her the confidence to discover her own voice and claim her place in the world of music. By her teenage years, Suzi Quatro was already actively performing, forming an all-female garage rock band with her sisters known as the Pleasure Seekers. At a time when women were rarely encouraged, or even allowed, to play instruments in rock music, the group stood out as one of the earliest all-women bands to attract serious attention, making their very existence a groundbreaking statement. Even at this early stage, Suzi handled bass guitar, shared lead vocals, and displayed a natural magnetism on stage. These performances laid the groundwork for the distinctive image and sound that would later set her apart internationally. A turning point arrived in the early 1970s when she was discovered by legendary British producer Mickie Most, who immediately recognized her originality and believed her talent could translate into major stardom. Quatro made the bold decision to move to the United Kingdom, a choice that would ultimately define her career. While many American audiences were still reluctant to accept women in hard rock, British listeners embraced her without hesitation. In 1973, Suzi broke through with her explosive debut hit, Can the Can, a driving rock anthem that shot to #1 on the UK charts and went on to sell more than 2 million copies worldwide. The song served as a powerful declaration of intent, announcing that Suzi Quatro was a force to be reckoned with. Throughout the 1970s, she established herself as one of the most prominent female figures in rock music. Tracks such as 48 Crash, Devil Gate Drive, and The Wild One became international hits, showcasing her commanding vocals, sharp bass lines, and defiant rock attitude. On stage, dressed in her signature leather jumpsuit, Suzi projected confidence, strength, and independence, directly challenging long-held stereotypes about women in music. She refused to be sidelined as a novelty or background presence. Instead, she demanded recognition as a serious musician and earned it. Her visibility and success helped pave the way for countless women who would later emerge in rock and punk, cementing her status as a true pioneer. Alongside her music career, Suzi also proved her versatility by stepping into acting. In the mid-1970s, she became widely known to American television audiences through her role as Leather Tuscadero on the popular sitcom Happy Days. The character expanded her reach in the U.S. and allowed her to showcase her personality in a new medium, all while remaining true to her rock and roll image. Her success across both music and television confirmed that she was far more than a singer. She was a multifaceted entertainer whose influence extended well beyond chart positions. Over the years, Suzi Quatro has been widely cited as a direct inspiration by later female rock artists, including Joan Jett, Chrissie Hynde, Debbie Harry, and the Runaways. These musicians have openly credited Suzi's fearless style and determination with giving them the confidence to pursue careers in genres traditionally dominated by men. As a result, her legacy is measured not only by record sales, but by the cultural barriers she helped break down. Without setting out to do so, Suzi became a role model, reshaping both the sound and the visual identity of rock music for generations. Even as the years passed, she never slowed her pace. She continued touring, recording, and performing well into the 21st century, demonstrating that her passion for music remained undiminished. Albums such as Back to the Drive, 2006, and No Control, 2019, proved that she could still deliver powerful, energetic music that resonated strongly with her audience. Her stage presence remains electrifying, and her voice continues to carry the same intensity and edge that first captivated fans in the 1970s. In the later chapters of her remarkable career, Suzi Quatro once again confirmed that her connection. By maintaining homes in Essex, Hamburg, and occasionally returning to Detroit, Quatro reflects the truly global nature of her life and career. Now 75 years old, she has spent more than 5 decades in the public eye, securing her place in music history as one of the first women to successfully break into the male-dominated world of rock and roll. She is instantly recognizable for her leather jumpsuits, powerful bass lines, and relentless energy on stage. Yet one chapter of her career continues to stand out with a special significance: her collaboration with Chris Norman of the band Smokey. For decades, fans have speculated about the bond the two shared during and after the release of their 1978 global hit duet, Stumblin' In. With the perspective that comes from age and a long career, Quatro has now spoken more openly about what Chris Norman truly meant to her, both personally and professionally. "He was, without question, one of the easiest people I ever worked with," she explained. "There was no ego with Chris in this business. That quality was especially rare given that neither of them expected the duet to become such a major success. From the very first moment they sang together, there was an immediate and natural connection. Everything felt effortless." By the late 1970s, Quatro was already firmly established as a solo star. At the same time, Norman was enjoying major success with Smokey, a band known for its distinctive blend of soft rock and folk-influenced pop. When producer Mike Chapman brought the two together for Stumblin' In, the outcome surprised even Quatro herself. "We both thought it would just be another song," she admitted, "maybe a small hit if we were lucky." Neither of them imagined it would reach number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States or become a timeless standard still sung more than 45 years later. That unpredictability, Quatro believes, is the magic of music. You never truly know what will resonate with people. For her, the experience was not just about commercial achievement, but about the creative connection she shared with Norman as a fellow artist. She recalls their studio sessions as filled with laughter, mutual respect, and a shared sense of adventure. "Chris had a warmth about him," she said. "He wasn't only a wonderful singer, he was a gentleman. He put me at ease right away. I was used to having full control over my music, but with Chris, sharing the spotlight felt completely natural. There was no competition between them. They were simply creating something together, and that collaborative spirit is what made the song work." While fans have long speculated about whether their bond went beyond music, Suzi has always maintained that their relationship was deeply professional and platonic, built on mutual respect and admiration. "People always like to imagine there was a romance behind the scenes," Suzi said with a laugh. "But the truth is, we cared deeply about each other, and it was always about the music." At the time, both she and Chris Norman were married, and they respected those boundaries. What they shared was a genuine friendship and a creative partnership that produced something timeless, and in many ways, she believes that makes it even more meaningful. Looking back today, Suzi sees Stumblin' In not just as a successful hit, but as a reminder of how a single song can shape the way the world remembers you. "I'll always be known as the leather-clad rocker with the bass guitar," she reflected. "But for millions of people, I'll also forever be the voice on that duet with Chris. And I'm proud of that. It revealed a different side of me. That side was gentler and more emotionally open, yet still carried strength." Even decades later, Quatro and Norman have remained friends, occasionally reuniting for interviews or anniversary celebrations connected to their famous duet. "Chris is one of those people you never forget," she said warmly. "When we see each other now, it feels like no time has passed." They quickly fall back into the same relaxed camaraderie they shared in the studio so many years ago. "That kind of connection is rare," she added, "and it's something I truly treasure." Reflecting on her journey, Quatro believes the song carries a lasting message, one that may resonate even more deeply today than it did in 1978. "It's about uncertain love," she explained. "About stepping into something new and exciting without knowing where it will lead." No matter their age, people can relate to stumbling into love or into an unexpected moment that changes their lives. That universal emotion, she believes, is why the song continues to endure. At 75, Suzi Quatro remains as active as ever, touring, recording, and inspiring new generations of musicians. When asked to name one of the defining moments of her career, she does not hesitate to place her collaboration with Chris Norman among the most meaningful. "That song was a gift," she concluded. "And Chris was part of that gift. I'll always be grateful for the music we created together and for the memories that have stayed with me for a lifetime."